I was caught red-handed by my brother, sneaking home after clubbing late at night, and a small box accidentally fell out of my pocket. Flustered, I stammered, "It's gum." His face was dark enough to kill. "Since when does gum come in size XL? Quite the appetite you've got there, huh?" Feeling guilty but defiant, I retorted, "None of your business, I'm an adult." Later he pinned me beneath him, his expression grim and his gaze dangerous. "So you're an adult now, right? From now on, for every time you talk back during the day, I'm going to pay you back double at night." I sneak through the front door, barely breathing, trying to ghost my way into my room after a night of clubbing. The living room was pitch black. Score, I thought, safe. My hand hovered over the light switch. "You're back," a deep gravelly voice rumbled from the darkness. My hand spasmed. "Shit, I'm dead meat, her Jax. Why are you sitting in the dark?" I clasped my hands together, trying to look innocent. The lamp clicked on. Jax was sprawled on the leather sofa, giving me a stare that could peel paint off the walls. "What time did I tell you to be home? 9. And what time is it now? 9 plus 180 minutes. Cute." He stood up slowly, his eyes flashing with a predatory glint. "Lily, I think you're begging for a beating. Jax picked me out of a dumpster when I was a kid. He raised me. I was a magnet for trouble and he was the enforcer, who usually dealt with it based on 20 years of experience. Dealing with Jax when he went full psycho mode, I had two options: get my ass hand or surrender immediately." Reading the room, I dropped to my knees and hugged his thigh. "Jax's big bro, Jax's poo." I gave him my best puppy dog eyes. "I messed up, okay? Won't happen again." Roxy was having a meltdown. I had to comfort her. Jax scoffed, trying to shake me off. "What the crap?" I clung to his long muscular leg, rubbing my cheek against his jeans. "God, your legs are so long. You're literally the hottest guy on the planet." Fact. Flattery and acting like a bratty kitten was Jackson's kryptonite. His expression softened, though he still looked like he wanted to strangle me. A college student hanging out in dive bars and clubs. You know the kind of degenerates in there. Do you know what they do to you? He was tough to crack. Tonight I upped the dosage. I climbed off the floor and boldly straddled his lap, hooking my arms around his neck. "Who doesn't know I'm Jax's sister? What kind of suicidal idiot would dare touch me?" I pecked the air near his jaw. "Don't be mad, big guy." More. He frowned, using his thumb to wipe a smudge of lipstick off his cheek. "Is this a new shade?" "Yeah, do you like it?" He stared at the tissue with disgust. "You look like you ate a dead rat." Then he squinted at my eyes. "And why the hell do you have glitter in your eye boogers?" I almost choked. "It's called highlighter." I blinked rapidly, trying to hypnotize him with my innocent doe look. "I spent an hour on this cut. I look, it's hot, right? You look like a raccoon that got into a meth lab." He deadpanned. I smiled through gritted teeth. "Whatever. What does an old straight man know about fashion?" Then his gaze dropped to my skirt, or lack thereof. The vein in his forehead popped. "What exactly are you wearing?" "It's a pleated tennis skirt." I whispered. "Looks like fucking lingerie to me. One wrong move and your ass is hanging out for the world to see." "I'm wearing safety shorts underneath." "Don't talk back." Jax roared, his patience snapping. I shrank back, instantly submissive. "Sorry, Jax. You go out dressed like a hooker again, I'll break your damn legs." He wasn't joking. "I won't do it again, I swear." I wiggled on his lap, nuzzling his neck to calm him down. "Don't be mad, okay, please." "Jax, stop squirming." His voice suddenly dropped an octave, his breathing turning heavy. "Please." He shoved me off his lap abruptly. I stood there confused. "What's wrong?" He took a deep breath, his voice raspy and dangerous. "Get your ass to bed now." "Yes, sir." I didn't care why he was acting weird. I just knew I dodged a bullet. I practically skipped to my room, but as I took a step, clack, small colorful box fell out of my pocket and skittered across the floor. The bold letters XXXL stared up at us. Magnum. My heart stopped. Jack snatched it up before I could move. "What is this?" His voice was lethal. I snatched it back, panic rising. "Gum, it's gum." He let out a cold, humorless laugh. "Ultra thin, lubricated gum. In size XXXL." His face was a storm cloud ready to unleash hell. "You eating good lately, Lily?" My knees went weak. "Jax, listen to my lie. I mean, let me explain." His large hand grabbed the back of my neck, forcing me to look him in the eye. His grip was tight, bordering on painful. "Lily, I sent you to college to get a degree, not to learn how to open your legs." "Open my legs?" The insult stung. I tried to pry his fingers off. "Let go of me, you're hurting me." I was humiliated and angry. "I'm an adult. Why do you always have to control me? Other girls my age were getting engaged. I couldn't even text a boy without a background check." "Why?" Jax looked like he wanted to burn the world down. "Because I own you. I raised you. Just because you raised me doesn't mean you can insult me." Tears pricked my eyes. "I haven't been sleeping around." He lowered his gaze, intensity frightening. "Then who is this for? Who are you planning to use it on?" "You." I mumbled. Head down. Jax froze, his brain short-circuited. I realized how that sounded. "No, I mean it's just for you to use." It was Roxy. Her dad, a degenerate gambler, sold her off to clear a 20k debt to Damon, a high roller in the city. She said Damon was an absolute animal in bed lately and her back was breaking. She threw the condoms out because, in her words, no sugar daddy knocks up his pet, but magnums are expensive. We grew up poor, we don't waste money. So she shoved them in my pocket. "Give them to your bro. He looks like he packs heat." "That's exactly what happened," I confessed. Jax held the little box, a smirk slowly curling his lip. "XXXL, you think that fits?" I felt his gaze raking over me. My face burned. "Well, no fat during puberty. Over 6'2", high nose bridge, prominent Adam's apple, long fingers, lean muscle mass." I recited the checklist. "You fit the criteria." "Criteria for what?" "For having a big." You know, I forced the words out. "Who told you that?" "The internet and Cosmopolitan and Roxy. She's got experience." She said. "It's accurate, Lily. You spend your day reading trash online." He frowned. I giggled nervously. "So Jax, is it true?" Jax's eyes darkened. He stepped closer, crowding my space. "What, don't you get a ruler and measure it yourself, really?" My eyes widened. He scoffed, his face instantly hardening. "Yeah, really? Come here so I can break those legs of yours. You're getting bold, Brett. The day Vice Squad picks you up, don't call me. I'm not bailing you out. Abort mission." I ran for my life. 8 my campus lecture hall. The air buzzed with gossip. Did you hear? Some girl from the foreign language department jumped off a building. Loan sharks. Yeah, landed right in the planter box. Instant death. I nudged Roxy, who was face planted on her desk. More drama. She yawned, stretching like a cat who knows someone dies every year at this place. She looked like hell. Dark circles under her eyes. Hair messy. Damn girl. Another all-nighter. Roxy snapped, grinding her teeth. Damon is a monster. I swear he's not human. I casually reminded her who was it that said, I've never eaten so good, and I'm treating him like a free top-tier gigolo. I was young and naive. She groaned. The man looks cold and stoic in a suit, but once the pants come off he's like a starving wolf. It's like he's never seen a woman before. Pounding away until 3 a.m. and I still have an 8 a.m. class. This torture, and the bastard didn't even give me cab fare. I had to ride a city bike here. Your brother is better. I want to be your sister-in-law. I stared at her. When did you go blind? Jax is terrible. I listed his crimes. I literally have to beg for allowance like a peasant. I practically kneel and call him daddy just for lunch money, and he's always threatening to break my legs. You think it's easy being me? That's just how he flirts with you. Roxy rolled her eyes. My dad said Jax is ruthless in the streets, cold-blooded, but with you you're his only soft spot. She wasn't wrong. Jax played dad and mom my whole life. Jax was an orphan, raised by his grandma. He found me in a trash heap behind a motel when he was 6. We were broke. He begged neighbors for goat milk just to keep me alive. Grandma died when he was 15. Since then it's just been us against the world. We got bullied in school for being poor dirty kids, but Jax fought like a demon. He didn't care if he died, so nobody messed with him. Eventually he dropped out of college to run with a local gang. People said he'd end up in prison or dead. Instead he became the boss. Back in high school boys tried to ask me out. Jax shut that down. He threatened to break my legs and the guy's legs so we could date in matching wheelchairs. Pick me up from school, glaring daggers at any male with a pulse. Now the whole city knows I'm Jax's sister, the Grim Reaper's little girl. Nobody with a brain dares to look at me. So I'm a 20-year-old virgin who hasn't even held hands except with Jax. Of course if I'm miserable he has to suffer too. Jax is undeniably hot. Women throw themselves at him. I chase them all away. Honey listen, my brother grinds his teeth, ignores foreplay, has ed, and practically beats me. Save yourself if I can't date. Neither can he. I'll wait him out. He's older, he'll die first. Hey. Speaking of, Roxy perked up. I overheard Damon on the phone with Jax yesterday. Something about don't let Lily know. Is he seeing someone? He wouldn't dare. I slammed my hand on the desk. If Jax is dating behind my back, he's dead. He is so dead. I slammed my textbook shut, the sound loud enough to make the old professor on the podium pause for a second and adjust his glasses to look my way. I ignored the stunned stares from around me, grabbed my bag, and bolted. Roxy calling my name from behind was useless. Jax dared to have a secret affair behind my back. Don't let Lily know. Fine. I wanted to see exactly which vixen had a death wish and dared to touch the pig I raised. Outside the campus gates, I didn't wait for the driver like a good girl. Instead, I hailed a taxi directly. Go to Club Nightshade. The driver glanced at me in the rearview mirror, his expression a bit odd. It made sense. I was wearing a pink and white hoodie, jeans, and even had a backpack covered in plush keychains. I looked like a high school student who had lost her way. And Nightshade, that was the city's most chaotic, expensive joint, and Jax's headquarters. Little girl, that place isn't open yet, and cut the crap, just drive. I slapped a large bill onto the divider, mimicking the tone of authority Jax usually used. Unfortunately, with my sweet face, I probably just looked like a Pomeranian throwing a tantrum in the driver's eyes. 40 minutes later, the car stopped in front of a black marble building. Standing at the entrance were 2 bodyguards built like iron towers, Jax's trusted men, Abigail and Old Ghost. Seeing me get out of the taxi, their fierce faces instantly crumbled into panic. Miss, Abigail stammered, stepping forward to block me like he was swatting a fly. Why are you here? The boss is handling business right now. It's not convenient. Handling business? I sneered, pushing his arm aside. Official business or personal business? Is he hiding a woman in his office? No, absolutely not. Old Ghost shook his head so hard it looked like a rattle drum, but his eyes guiltily darted toward the upper floors. Boss is in a meeting. A very serious meeting. Move. Miss, please. Boss really gave orders. I stopped, tilted my head back, and looked at Abigail with those big eyes Jax described as most deceptive. My voice turned sugary sweet. Brother Biao, tell me, does it hurt more when Jax hits you, or when I cry to Jax telling him you bullied me? Which consequence is worse? Abigail's face turned green instantly. 2 minutes later, wearing my sneakers, I stood unimpeded in front of the heavy mahogany door of the top floor office. The door wasn't fully locked. There was a sliver of a gap. I held my breath and leaned in closer. I imagined a scene where Jax was holding some glamorous beauty, whispering sweet nothings. If that were the case, I'd barge in and throw that woman's high heels out the window. But the sound coming from inside wasn't flirting. It was a dull thud, the sound of a heavy object striking flesh. Still got a stiff mouth. It was Jax's voice. It wasn't the raspy, resigned tone he used with me last night. It was cold, cruel, and devoid of any warmth, like a rusty saw scraping against bone. I peeked through the crack. The spacious office had the curtains drawn, making it dim. A man was kneeling on the floor, his face covered in blood, hands tied behind his back. Jax sat in the black leather chair opposite him, idly playing with a silver lighter. Click, click. The blue flame danced at his fingertips. He was wearing a black shirt, sleeves rolled up to his elbows, revealing forearms with tight muscles that seemed to be splattered with a few drops of dark red blood. I'll ask one more time. Jax's voice was lazy, yet it made my scalp tingle. Who paid you to harass those girls at the school? The man on the floor trembled and spat out a mouthful of bloody foam. It was someone paying. Said as long as we got those female students addicted to gambling, or took some photos. Which hand touched them? Jax interrupted, his tone as casual as if asking what was for dinner. Didn't touch. Jax stood up, and his oppressive presence instantly filled the room. He walked over to the man, his black leather shoe stepping onto the man's fingers and slowly grinding down. The scream was swallowed by the soundproof walls. Damon told me some insects have been restless lately, trying to reach their hands into the university city. Jax looked down at the man, his eyes dark and sinister. The Lily I raised is at that school too. You pieces of trash. What if you dirty her eyes? I froze at the door, my heart clenching tight. So when he told Damon, don't let Lily know, he meant this. He was cleaning up the trash around the school because he was afraid I'd be scared if I saw it. The fire of jealousy I had felt moments ago was instantly extinguished, replaced by a warm current that was both sour and sweet. Just then, my phone in my bag rang at the most inappropriate moment possible. The custom ringtone Roxy set for me. A sharp screech of a cat. Meow. The deadly silence in the office was instantly shattered. Jack snapped his head around, those eyes that were just filled with murderous intent locking onto the door instantly, sharp as knives. Who? I was caught. I swallowed hard, braced myself, and pushed the door open. Hi, Jax. I clutched my backpack, standing awkwardly in the doorway, trying to mask my guilt with a smile. I was passing by, just wanted to use the bathroom. When Jax saw it was me, the killing intent in his eyes vanished instantly, replaced by shock, and then immediately by a towering rage. He glanced at the bloody scene on the floor, then at me, his face turning as black as the bottom of a pot. Abiel, he roared. Outside the door, Abiel poked his trembling head in. Boss, drag him out. Jax pointed at the man on the floor, then strode toward me. Clean up the blood, and go punish yourself. Abiel looked like he'd been granted amnesty, dragging the half-dead man away and vanishing in seconds. The door slammed shut with a bang. Jax stood in front of me, his massive frame completely overshadowing me. He still smelled faintly of blood and tobacco, a dangerous scent, but one that strangely made me feel safe. Skipping class, he narrowed his eyes, his voice low and dangerous. Running to a place like this. Lily, do you think you have too many legs? Although I was a little scared, thinking of how he interrogated that man for me just now gave me the courage to be bold. Who told you to be sneaky behind my back? I threw my backpack onto the sofa, striking first. Roxy said you were on the phone with Damon, acting all mysterious and hiding things from me. I thought you had a new lover and didn't want your sister anymore. Jax was so angry he laughed. He reached out and pinched my cheek, not too hard but firm enough to stop me from talking. New lover? I think you have water in your brain. He let go and turned to the sink to wash his hands. Red water swirled down the drain as he scrubbed his long, powerful hands vigorously, seemingly disgusted that he had touched trash. I was afraid you'd have nightmares if you saw that filth. I'm not afraid. I moved closer and hugged his waist from behind. His back stiffened for a second, but he didn't push me away. Jax, you were so handsome just now. I pressed my face against his broad back, feeling his scorching body heat through his shirt. Like a godfather in a movie. Cut the flattery. He turned off the faucet and spun around. I had to let go, switching to looking up at him. That guy was a subordinate of a loan shark gang. The jumping incident was connected to them. It's not safe lately. From today on, except for class, do not leave my sight. Huh? I protested. But Roxy invited me tonight to cancel it, Jax commanded, brooking no argument. He dried his hands with a paper towel, his gaze sweeping over me. Or, you can choose to have your legs broken, and I'll lock you at home so you don't have to go anywhere. Tyrant! I stomped on his foot in indignation. It didn't hurt him at all. Instead, he casually wrapped his arm around my waist, pulling me closer into his embrace. He lowered his head, bringing his face close to mine, his intense masculine scent instantly enveloping me. Just figured that out. The corner of his mouth quirked up in a wicked smirk, his thumb brushing against my lower lip. I'm not just a tyrant, I'm your guardian. Since you're here, don't think about leaving tonight. What are you going to do? I looked at him warily. There's a dinner. I'm taking you to see the world. He let go of me, walked to the lounge behind the desk, pulled out a paper bag, and tossed it to me. Go change. If you dare wear that skirt that shows your ass, I'll gouge out the eyes of every man in the room. I opened the bag. It was a white long dress. Although the design was conservative with a high neck, the cut was extremely form-fitting, and the fabric was top-tier silk. What is this? A nun's habit? I held it up with disdain. It's to make you look like a decent woman, Jax scoffed, sitting back in his chair to read a file. Go change inside. 3 minutes. I took the dress into the lounge. Even though I complained, I knew exactly why he was taking me. By bringing me to this kind of event, he was declaring to everyone, I am under his protection. In this dog-eat-dog underworld, it was a silent warning and the strongest form of security. When I came out changed, Jax was looking down at a document, brows furrowed. Hearing me, he looked up. In that instant, I saw a flash of awe in his eyes, which immediately turned into a deep, dark obscurity. The dress covered everything, but the silk clung to my body like water, outlining my well-developed curves. The pure white color only made me look more, how did Roxy put it? Pure lust. Jax's Adam's apple bobbed. He looked away, his voice a bit hoarse. You are not allowed to wear white in the future. Why? Does it look bad? I twirled in front of him. Too good. He stood up, grabbed his suit jacket, draped it over his shoulders, and casually grabbed my wrist. So good that I want to lock you up so no one else can see. The dinner was at a private club. When we pushed the doors open, the room was already full. Smoke filled the air, and most men had scantily clad beauties beside them. Damon was there too, hugging a small starlet who looked like she'd just come from a film set. Looks like Roxy was going to lose her mind again tonight. Seeing Jax enter, the noisy private room instantly quieted down. Brother Jax is here. Yo, Jax, brought a new face today. All eyes focused on me, held by Jax's hand. There was curiosity, awe, and some lewdness in those gazes. Jax ignored everyone, pulling me straight to the head of the table. He sat down grandly, leaning back on the sofa, one arm resting on the back of my chair in a gesture of absolute possession. My sister, Lily, he said indifferently, his gaze sweeping the room, cold as ice. Anyone gets any funny ideas, go ahead and order your coffin first. The room went silent for a second, followed by a burst of flattering laughter. So it's the sister. I knew it, such a pure aura. She must be the canary raised in Brother Jax's home. A bald man with a face full of flesh walked over with a wine glass, his eyes brazenly sweeping over my chest. But Jax, your sister is all grown up, doesn't have a boyfriend yet, right? How about I introduce? Before he could finish, a heavy glass ashtray smashed onto the floor right next to the bald man's foot with a loud bang, sending glass shards flying. The bald man shuddered, spilling wine all over himself. Jax maintained his throwing posture, a smile on his face that didn't reach his eyes. Old snake, if you don't want those eyeballs of yours, I can scoop them out and pickle them in wine for you. The atmosphere instantly froze to absolute zero. I shrank next to Jax. Although I usually clawed and bit at him at home, in this environment surrounded by real wolves, I realized profoundly that the man who cooked noodles for me and let me paint his nails was the true king here. Just joking. Just joking. The bald man laughed awkwardly and retreated, not daring to look at me again. Damon leaned over then, cigar in hand, smiling meaningfully. All right, Jax, don't scare the little girl. Lily, ignore these roughnecks. But he lowered his voice, winking at Jax. Isn't this overprotective act a bit much? The way I see it, you're not raising a sister, you're raising a child bride, aren't you? My face heated up, and I subconsciously looked at Jax. Jax didn't refute him. He just gave Damon a cold side eye. Watch your own lower half. I heard Roxy is checking up on you lately. At the mention of Roxy, Damon's face stiffened. He muttered a curse and sat back down. All night, I sat obediently next to Jax like an exquisite ornament. Occasionally, he would put food on my plate or peel shrimp for me, his movements so natural that everyone at the table stared. The women who had originally wanted to come over for a toast saw this and wisely backed off. Anyone could see that Jax's eyes held no room for anyone else. After the dinner, Jax had had a bit to drink. He didn't let the driver take us. He drove the black Maybach home himself. The car sped through the night. It was quiet inside, save for the hum of the AC. The alcohol made his eyes a bit hazy, but his hands were steady on the steering wheel. Jax, I broke the silence. Why didn't you deny what Damon said just now? I turned to look at his profile. The streetlights cast shifting shadows across the high bridge of his nose. Which part? The part about the child bride. My voice got smaller and smaller, but my heart beat faster and faster. Jax suddenly slammed on the brakes. The car screeched to a halt by the roadside. Inertia threw me forward before the seatbelt yanked me back. Before I could react, Jax had unbuckled his belt and leaned over, pressing toward me. In the confined space of the car, the air was instantly filled with his presence. He propped one hand on the back of my seat and grabbed my chin with the other, forcing me to look up at him. Those deep eyes were churning with emotions I couldn't read. 20 years of restraint and a beast about to break its cage. Lily. His voice was incredibly raspy, heavy with the scent of alcohol as he breathed against my face. Why do you think I do this? To find you a brother-in-law, or to save up a dowry so I can watch you hold some pretty boy's hand and call me big brother? I was intimidated by his intensity and could only stare blankly. I didn't plan on marrying a pretty boy. You better not. His thumb rubbed against my lips, a bit too hard, stinging slightly. Since you know what kind of person I am, you should know that once I set my sights on something, it can never escape. I picked you out of the trash and raised you, not for charity. His face moved closer and closer, so close I thought he was going to kiss me. I squeezed my eyes shut nervously, eyelashes trembling. However, the expected kiss didn't land on my lips. I felt a warm pressure on my forehead. He just kissed my forehead. Hard. Go back to sleep. He pulled back and restarted the car, his voice returning to that annoying coldness. Until you figure it out, don't provoke me. Or next time, I won't let you off so easily. The car started moving again, scenery blurring past the window. I touched the lingering warmth on my forehead, looked at his tense profile, and couldn't help the corners of my mouth turning up. I figured it out. Screw, brother, screw, guardian. Go to hell. Since you're the bad wolf, I'll be the wolf tamer. In this life, no one else would dare to have you anyway, Jax. It was almost 2 a.m. when we got home. I had just showered and was about to crawl into bed in my pajamas when the door opened. Jax stood in the doorway, holding a glass of hot milk. Drink it. I already brushed my teeth. I protested. Drink it and brush again. Look at you, skinny as a skeleton. It hurts to hold you. He walked over and handed me the milk. Were you disgusted with me in the car just now? I narrowed my eyes, deliberately puffing out my chest. Who was it that said they wanted to lock me up? Jax's gaze lingered on the cartoon print on my chest for a second before he looked away with feigned disdain. Keep dreaming. I'm worried about malnutrition. If later, Childbirth would be dangerous for you. Childbirth. I almost choked on the milk. With whom? He leaned close to my ear, his voice low and laced with a trace of wicked amusement. You tell me, Mr. XL. And with that, before I could react, he turned off the light, closed the door, and was gone. In the darkness, I clutched the blanket, my face burning red as a cooked shrimp. Damn you, Jax. Was that a confession? That definitely counted. I rolled over, buried my face in the pillow, and couldn't help but giggle. The next morning, I was woken up by Rox's lethal chain calling. Lily, big news. Did you know that Loan Shark gang got completely wiped out yesterday? Heard he owes huge gambling debts and is being hunted down, so he ran away overnight. I held the phone, watching Jax in the kitchen wearing an apron, frying eggs. The morning light spilled over his broad back, highlighting beautiful muscle lines. He was humming a tune, the sound of the spatula scraping the pan filling the room with domestic warmth. Who would have thought this man, currently making a heart-shaped breakfast for me, had purged half the city's underground filth last night? Yeah, I heard, I replied lazily. Maybe he did too many bad things and karma got him. It's so satisfying. Scum like that deserves to be handled. Roxy shouted excitedly. By the way, there's a freshman welcome party tonight. Lots of hot guys. You coming? I saw that senior from the sports department has his eye on you. Before I could speak, Jax's voice suddenly drifted from the kitchen. Not too loud, not too soft, just enough to be heard clearly through the phone. Tell Roxy if she doesn't want Damon to cut off her credit cards, she better stop introducing you to random wild men. Dead silence on the other end of the line. 3 seconds later, Roxy screamed. Holy shit, Jax is right next to you. Are you guys living together? No, wait, you always live together. But that tone, that possessiveness. Oh, Lily, you little pig, did you finally dig up the cabbage? I hung up the phone, ran barefoot into the kitchen, and hugged Jax's waist from behind. Jax, I want my eggs runny. MN. And, I don't want to go to the party tonight. Smart choice. I want to go for a ride with you. On your heavy motorcycle. Jax turned off the stove, spun around, and lifted me up to sit on the counter. He placed his hands on either side of me, trapping me in his territory. Riding the motorcycle is dangerous. He stared into my eyes. It's not dangerous if you're there. I hooked my arms around his neck and planted a toothpaste minty kiss on the corner of his lips. Because you're my airbag, brother. Jax's eyes darkened, the calm before the storm. Lily, he lowered his head, capturing my lips, his voice muffled against mine. Don't call me brother. Then what do I call you? Call me husband.